And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got quite a few things to respond to. I want to start with the comment from the gentlelady from, I think it's Indiana, regarding the peaceful nonviolent protest on January 6th. The irony of that for me is, you know, I grew up during the civil rights movement. Dr. King's birthday is one that we celebrate on Monday. And I gotta say that if she wants to see an example of a peaceful nonviolent process or protest, I hope she'll, you know, watch Montgomery to Memphis or take a look at the civil rights movement, because that's what a nonviolent protest looks like. Dr. King didn't show up with bear spray. He didn't show up with any kind of weapons. He didn't break into any kind of locked buildings. They didn't do anything like that. If there was any kind of violence during those protests, it was perpetrated by the police, Bull Connor and the like. Next, I'd like to say this. The Republicans keep saying, you know, we want to try and get this information. It's important. President Biden is, you know, under investigation, blah, blah, blah. Here's the problem with that argument. You could have gotten it right there at the table. In fact, Mr. Issa just referenced the meeting. We were sitting, I think it was the next room, waiting for Hunter Biden to show up. Well, A, that's incorrect because he said he wasn't coming for the deposition. But if they decided, you know what, we can do a hearing right now. They had the court reporter there. We're in a hearing room. The members just come up to the dais and give them a chance to speak. We could have done it right then. In fact, we could do it today if you guys would just move off of this hardline position about it's got to be a deposition. It can't be public testimony. We could do it now. We could do it now. So the problem when you start talking about contempt, by the way, this is criminal contempt. This is, you're saying that he's got the intent to deny this committee information that it's seeking. And all the cases you cite in your report go to that point. But he's not denying the information. In fact, in contrast to some of the other folks we talked about, Navarro and Bannon and the like, they stonewalled it. He has not. He has not. And the last point I'll make, and I'll give you some time if I can, with respect to the chairman's responses with respect to the select committee subpoena. And I think it's a fair point that the congressman from California made. You know, Mr. Chairman, you could have testified if you wanted. In fact, if you'd met the Hunter Biden standard, you could have publicly testified, just like he's offered to do. And by the way, it's not too late. You know, if you want to make that happen, we can do that, I'm sure. But the other point I want to make is this. One of the things the chairman did in sending a letter back to the select committee was he put conditions on him coming to testify. Conditions that he would never permit witnesses now to assert. For example, he requested material from the select committee, including all materials referencing him in the select committee's possession, and all internal legal analysis related to the constitutionality of the members' subpoenas. If the members, I don't even know how many compliance hearings we've had with respect to Department of Justice, but if they'd made that assertion, you would have to peel these guys off the ceiling. And by the way, we've got members demanding DOJ line employees and other line employees at the government level, having them come in to testify, which is unprecedented, by the way, especially in the middle of a criminal investigation. You're bringing line prosecutors in here and compelling them to testify, or even asking them to testify, in the middle of a criminal investigation, and they're complying with you. By the way, I've told them I disagree with that position. I think they should just outright say no, because that's what you did, that's what the Republicans did, and that's what the previous executive branch administrations have done. They've asserted privileges that the Biden administration has not. And yet here we are. You're going after, and he's not a public figure, not a public official, by the way. Hunter Biden's a private citizen, which distinguishes him from all the executive branch cases that are referenced in your report. He's a different person. He's offered to come in and testify. He's a private citizen who does it and doesn't have to do it. And there's absolutely no reason we should hold him in criminal contempt. With that, I yield.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. And just to distinguish my California colleague's argument that Jim Jordan didn't have to appear because there's some executive privilege covering his conversations with Donald Trump, Much as I respect my colleague, legally, that's nonsense. The executive privilege applies within the executive. A president can't say to a member of Congress, you can't describe my conversation that I had with you. And in fact, even within the executive, we had the testimony of White House counsel and other close advisors of the president's have been testifying before the grand jury because the courts have rejected that argument where the president was engaged in potential criminality.
Gentleman from
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 5 minutes. Would the gentleman yield for just a second?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Just in response to Mr. Ivey, the reason I sent the 11-page letter to Mr. Thompson that I'm haven't received a response from was because asking for the reasoning and the analysis on the subpoena was because he had said so. He said, we're studying the matter. We're not sure we can do it. There was doubt there, so we said, well, provide us what now, because now you've changed your position, you've issued the subpoena, so we just asked for that. We've yet to receive that. But that's why we did it, because the chairman actually said that.
Would the gentleman
yield
yield?
to the gentleman from
Would the gentleman
Virginia.
yield?